Look, there is a massive seismic shift happening right now at the very top of the frontier AI market. And right at the epicenter of it all is Meta. We all know them as a social media giant, but today we're doing a deep dive into their new strategic blueprint, a blueprint that's literally designed to build an artificial superintelligence empire. Let's get right into the data.
Okay, let's dive right into this cognitive roadmap. We're going to break down Meta's brand new AI strategy and then unpack the three core pillars holding it all up: RL data, gigawatt-scale compute, and an elite super team. Finally, we'll see how they all integrate and project what this means for AI supremacy in 2027.
First up, let's talk about Meta's new AI strategy and the catalyst behind all this structural change.
Right now, OpenAI and Anthropic are basically running a duopoly, right? And on the surface, Meta's Muse Spark 1.1 models seems like it's just keeping pace with Anthropic's Opus 4.6. Nothing totally mind-blowing. But here's the thing. After the somewhat disastrous release of Llama 4, Meta used that as a massive wake-up call. They are quietly paying down their technical debt and building an unprecedented architectural foundation meant to completely flip the market upside down.
Because if you want to build a true frontier model today, it boils down to an absolute integration of three things: data, compute, and talent. That is the triad. And Meta is arguably the only company out there that can hyperscale all three of these exclusively for their own use without having to worry about serving external cloud customers. It's a huge structural advantage.
Let's move on to the first pillar of this triad: reinforcement learning data, or RL data. This is their new supply chain, and honestly, it's their most underappreciated weapon right now. Think about it. The old way of doing things, supervised fine-tuning, was basically just teaching AI to mimic human conversational patterns. It was mimicking, not problem-solving. But the new frontier, it's all about reinforcement learning. RL actually teaches the AI to solve problems on its own by interacting with digital environments. This is the absolute key to automating complex, white-collar tasks.
So, how do you actually get this high-level RL data? Well, we need to look at Meta's proprietary data supply chain. The secret sauce here is capturing raw screen recordings of actual human workflows. They capture the action space, use LLMs to generate grading rubrics, and then human reviewers step in to polish it up. What they end up with is incredibly high-quality organic training data that holds real economic value. And this is where Meta gets really scary for the competition. While everyone else is paying a fortune to external vendors like Mercor for forced, sometimes artificial data, Meta mobilized an internal applied AI organization of 3,000 top-tier senior engineers. They are not outsourcing this. They are meticulously crafting RL environments in-house that are completely immune to reward hacking, which is when an AI finds a sneaky shortcut to a goal. They are just churning out flawless data at an unbelievable scale.
Which brings us to pillar number 2, gigawatt-scale compute. Welcome to the gigawatt era. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer global footprint of Meta's neural network. We are talking about 5 massive Titan clusters spread across the globe. Even though they're separated by up to 2,000 kilometers, they are connected over an ultra-low latency edge path that basically allows them to act as a single giant brain. To put these numbers into perspective, the Prometheus cluster in Ohio is scaling past 3 gigawatts across 27 data centers. 3 gigawatts. The Hyperion site in Louisiana sits at 1.5 gigawatts, utilizing massive 400-megawatt buildings. And over in Iowa, they deployed a rapid tent data center design to basically instantly unlock another gigawatt. This physical scale is just staggering. Most companies can't even dream of this. But how do you actually wire all that together? Meta built a next-generation AI backbone network with a mind-blowing bandwidth of 22 petabits per second. And to bypass the literal speed-of-light limitations between these geographies, they're using a strategy called asynchronous RL. This lets the clusters run reinforcement learning independently across the globe. It is quite literally a networking miracle. All right, on to the third pillar, the elite super team and incredibly aggressive capital deployment. So, the crucial point here is that having all that gigawatt compute and proprietary data is totally useless without the absolute best human minds to orchestrate it. Mark Zuckerberg knew this, so he basically pulled out a blank check. His strategy was to drain the talent density from his competitors to assemble this elite MSL super team. The financial investments here are just wild.
He dropped $14.3 billion, yes, billion with a B, to bring in Alexander Wang and his entire SEAL evaluation team. He spent over $1 billion on a buyout for Nat Friedman and Daniel Gross, and he's actively poaching top-tier researchers like Jason Wee and Jack Ray straight from OpenAI and Google. They are absolutely relentless about pushing the boundaries of AI reasoning, whatever the cost.
Moving to Section 5, vertical integration and the flywheel effect. This right here is Meta's unassailable moat. And this brilliantly illustrates how those three isolated pillars, data, compute, and talent, don't just exist in a vacuum. They feed directly into each other. The proprietary data gets trained on the gigawatt compute. The elite team optimizes the efficiency, and the resulting smarter model then generates even better data. It creates a completely organic, self-sustaining industrial loop, the MSL flywheel. But here is the kicker. Meta's ultimate goal isn't just to train a really good model. They are building a closed-loop, planetary-scale machine designed for RSI, or recursive self-improvement. They are explicitly trying to automate the advancement of AI itself. Once the system is fully running, the AI effectively starts upgrading its own capabilities.
Which leads us to our final chapter, the trajectory for AI supremacy by 2027.
So, let's mathematically project this forward. If you look at the current intercept, sure, OpenAI and Anthropic might have a slight edge today, but the future slope, that firmly belongs to Meta. Their input of compute for training is designed to scale exponentially, completely dwarfing the competition. By 2027, this vertical integration points straight toward absolute market dominance.
Now, obviously, we have to look at this objectively as an analysis. The bull case here is that Meta successfully harmonizes these three pillars and achieves total parity with the market leaders by late 2026. But there's a bear case too. Execution risks are very real. If there are culture clashes between the infrastructure engineers and the research teams, or if they suffer massive brain drain, this perfectly designed machine could absolutely stall out.
So, what does this all mean for us? Meta clearly possesses the ultimate structural blueprint for artificial superintelligence. The math checks out, the physical resources are there, the talent is locked in. But the real question is, can they maintain the strategic resolve to actually execute it without tearing themselves apart from the inside? It's going to be a fascinating couple of years watching this unfold. I hope this explainer gave you a solid framework to understand the massive shifts happening in AI right now. Thanks for joining me, and keep your eyes on the horizon.